In the far reaches of space, the Galactic Empire ruled with an iron fist. Their power was unmatched, and they controlled countless planets. One day, they set their sights on Earth, a small blue planet in a quiet corner of the Milky Way. The Empire was hungry for resources, technology, and tribute. They believed Earth was ripe for the picking, a treasure waiting to be plundered. With a fleet of massive ships, they sent a message to humanity, demanding tribute. The message reached Earth early in the morning. News channels flashed images of the Empire's fleet looming ominously over the planet. Governments scrambled to react. In conference rooms filled with tension, leaders argued fiercely. Some insisted that they should comply, fearing the Empire's might. Others shouted that giving in would only invite more demands. The world watched anxiously, their hearts pounding with uncertainty. Among the chaos, a group of military leaders gathered in a secure bunker. General Harper, a seasoned veteran with a reputation for bravery, stood at the head of the table. He looked around at his fellow leaders, all of whom wore expressions of concern. "We cannot give in," he said firmly. "If we do, we will show them that we are weak. They will take everything we have and then come back for more." The room fell silent. Everyone understood the weight of his words. Next to him, Dr. Emily Carter, a brilliant scientist known for her work on nuclear technology, nodded in agreement. "We have powerful weapons," she said. "We can use them to show the Empire that Earth is not an easy target. We must prepare for battle." The other leaders began to murmur in agreement. The idea of resistance sparked a fire in their hearts. As they strategized, the Empire grew impatient. They sent another message, threatening destruction if their demands were not met within 48 hours. The ultimatum felt like a ticking clock, counting down the moments before Earth would either submit or fight back. Tension hung heavy in the air as the deadline approached. People across the globe felt the weight of this decision. Some were scared, fearing for their lives, while others felt anger bubbling inside them. In the days that followed, the military sprang into action. They gathered resources, activated defense systems, and began to mobilize troops. General Harper and Dr. Carter worked closely, devising a plan to protect their planet. They knew that Earth's nuclear arsenal was their greatest weapon, a last resort that could turn the tide of any conflict. As news of the Empire's demands spread, people from all walks of life began to rally together. Citizens organized protests, chanting slogans of defiance. They painted murals on city walls, declaring their unity against the invaders. Meanwhile, children watched the news with wide eyes, wondering why the sky was filled with strange ships. Families gathered around their televisions, discussing what it meant to be brave. They shared stories of heroes from history, reminding each other of the strength found in unity. This spirit of defiance swept across the globe, igniting a fire in the hearts of many. As the deadline approached, General Harper held a press conference, standing tall before a crowd of reporters. "We will not bow to tyranny," he declared. "We are prepared to defend our home. We will fight for our future, for our families, and for our planet." His words resonated with the people, filling them with a sense of hope. They were not alone. They were a united force ready to stand against the Empire. When the 48 hours passed, the Galactic Empire sent another message, this time filled with anger and threats. "You have chosen your fate," the message boomed. "Prepare for the consequences of your defiance." The people of Earth felt a chill run down their spines, but instead of fear, it fueled their determination. They had chosen to fight, to protect their home against the overwhelming odds of a powerful enemy. As the Empire's ships hovered in the dark sky, General Harper and Dr. Carter made their final preparations. Earth was ready to show the Galactic Empire that they were not just a small planet to be bullied. They were a proud and fierce species, willing to fight for their freedom, their resources, and their very existence. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change everything. The world held its breath, waiting for the moment when humanity would rise to defend itself against the might of the Galactic Empire. As the Galactic Empire's massive ships loomed in the sky, the people of Earth felt a mix of fear and determination. The deadline had passed, and the Empire had promised consequences. But instead of giving up, humans rallied together, ready to defend their home. In military bunkers and makeshift command centers, leaders worked tirelessly to prepare for the battle ahead. General Harper stood at the front of a large room filled with military officers. Maps of Earth and the Empire's ships covered the walls. He looked at each officer, his eyes burning with determination. We have only one chance to protect our planet, he said. We need a solid plan and strong teamwork. The officers nodded, understanding the weight of their mission. Dr. Emily Carter sat at a nearby table, surrounded by scientists and engineers. They were working on the nuclear weapons, making sure they were ready to be launched at a moment's notice. Emily felt the pressure on her shoulders but knew this was a critical time for humanity. We must ensure our weapons are ready, she said, her voice steady. If we are going to show the Empire our strength, we need to be prepared to strike hard and fast. Meanwhile, all over the world, ordinary citizens were stepping up. People in cities gathered in parks and community centers, discussing ways they could help. Some offered to join local defense groups, while others focused on creating supplies and resources for the soldiers. The spirit of unity spread like wildfire. The sense of purpose brought people together, and many felt proud to be part of something bigger than themselves. In the heart of the bustling city, a young man named Alex joined a local defense group. He had always dreamed of being a hero, but never expected to fight in a real battle. As he met with his fellow citizens, they shared stories of their fears and hopes. We can't let them take our home, he said, his voice firm. We must stand and fight for what we believe in. The group cheered, feeling a rush of excitement at the idea of defending their planet together. Back in the military command center, General Harper and Dr. Carter reviewed their strategies. They decided to use the element of surprise to their advantage. If the Empire thought Earth would crumble, they would be shocked to see humanity fighting back with everything they had. We need to coordinate our attacks, Harper instructed. Our missiles must be ready to launch from multiple locations at once. We will hit them hard before they can react. As the days passed, preparations intensified. Troops were deployed to key locations, and defense systems were activated. Cities fortified their defenses and people stocked up on supplies. The fear that had gripped the world was slowly being replaced by determination. News channels shared stories of brave citizens and military heroes, inspiring many to join the fight. In rural areas, farmers offered their lands to create safe zones for troops and supplies. Communities worked together to build shelters and stockpile food and water. Children helped by painting banners and signs of support for the soldiers. We will not back down, read one sign held high by a group of excited kids. This spirit of resilience resonated with everyone, fueling their desire to protect their home. On the eve of the expected attack, General Harper addressed the nation. He spoke from a makeshift podium, flanked by Dr. Carter and other leaders. Tonight, we stand on the brink of a new era, he declared. We are not just fighting for ourselves, but for every person on this planet. The Galactic Empire thinks they can bully us into submission, but they will soon learn that we are not afraid to fight back. Cheers erupted from the crowd, their hearts swelling with pride and hope. As night fell, the mood shifted to one of solemn determination. Everyone knew the battle was coming. Soldiers stood ready, eyes fixed on the sky, while families gathered at home, praying for their safety. The world was united in purpose, and the determination to protect Earth burned brightly in every heart. The Galactic Empire, unaware of the strength and unity that had formed on the planet below, continued their preparations for what they believed would be an easy conquest. But Earth was ready. With each passing moment, the resolve of humanity grew stronger, and the stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the galaxy. The people of Earth were no longer afraid. They were prepared to fight for their freedom, and they would not go down without a struggle. The night sky above Earth was filled with anticipation. All eyes were on the Galactic Empire's massive ships hovering ominously in orbit. Thousands of people gathered outside military bases and homes, waiting for the moment when the fight would begin. Tension hung thick in the air as everyone held their breath, hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst. In the command center, General Harper and Dr. Emily Carter reviewed the final preparations. We need to act quickly, Harper said, his voice steady but urgent. The Empire expects us to be afraid, but we will show them that we are ready to fight. The room buzzed with energy as officers and scientists checked their equipment and made last-minute adjustments. They were on high alert, ready to launch their counterattack. As dawn broke, the Empire sent another message. You have chosen your fate. Surrender now or face destruction. The arrogant tone of the message ignited a fire within the hearts of the defenders of Earth. They were tired of being bullied and were ready to show the Empire their true strength. With a signal from General Harper, the first phase of their plan began. Troops and military vehicles moved into position across the planet, hidden from view but ready for action. Dr. Carter and her team prepared the nuclear missiles, ensuring everything was in perfect working order. "We need to hit them hard," she said. "This is our chance to show them that we will not be intimidated." As the sun rose higher in the sky, the Empire's ships moved closer, preparing to attack key targets on Earth. But the humans were ready. In a coordinated effort, multiple missiles were launched from various locations. Bright trails of smoke filled the sky as the missiles shot upwards, heading straight for the Empire's fleet. It was a bold move, one that surprised the enemy. The Empire's ships, caught off guard by the sudden onslaught, scrambled to respond. Alarm bells blared throughout the fleet and their defensive systems activated. But it was too late. The first wave of missiles struck several ships, causing massive explosions. The shockwaves rattled the surrounding vessels, and debris scattered through space. On Earth, cheers erupted as people watched the explosions on their screens. The news channels broadcast live footage of the battle, showing the brave efforts of their military. "We are fighting back!" shouted a news anchor, her voice filled with excitement. "Earth is not giving in to the Empire's demands." Families hugged and celebrated, feeling a renewed sense of hope. However, the Empire was not defeated yet. Enraged by the unexpected attack, their leaders ordered a full-scale response. Fighter ships launched from the larger vessels, streaking toward Earth like angry hornets. They carried advanced weapons, ready to unleash chaos on the planet below. The battle was far from over. As the enemy fighters descended, the military on Earth sprang into action. General Harper coordinated the defense, directing troops and interceptors to meet the incoming threats. "We need to protect our cities and our people," he commanded, his voice echoing in the command center. Pilots climbed into their jets, adrenaline pumping as they prepared to face the enemy head-on. The sky filled with bright flashes as Earth's defense systems engaged. Jets soared into the air, engaging in dogfights with the Empire's ships. Missiles flew in both directions, lighting up the sky like fireworks. Soldiers on the ground fired anti-aircraft weapons, desperately trying to knock out enemy fighters before they could reach their targets. In the heat of battle, Alex, the young man who had joined the local defense group, found himself at a makeshift command post. His heart raced as he watched the fight unfold. "We can do this!" he shouted to his comrades, gripping his weapon tightly. "We need to protect our home." Inspired by the bravery of the pilots and soldiers, Alex felt a surge of courage. He knew that every small effort counted in this fight. Back in space, the battle raged on. The Empire, now furious and desperate, launched a counterattack, firing beams of energy toward Earth's cities. But humanity held strong. The initial strikes had weakened the Empire's forces, and their resolve to fight back had only grown stronger. As explosions lit up the sky, the citizens of Earth knew they were part of something greater, a fight for their freedom. Finally, as the dust began to settle, both sides took a moment to regroup. The Empire had underestimated humanity's spirit and strength, while Earth had proven that it would not go down without a fight. The first strike had been successful, but both sides were readying for the battles to come. With courage and determination, humanity stood ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their fight against the Galactic Empire. After the fierce battle, the skies over Earth were filled with smoke and debris. The ground shook from the echoes of explosions, but the spirit of humanity remained unbroken. Both sides had suffered losses, but the Galactic Empire had never expected such fierce resistance from Earth. As the dust settled, the people began to regroup, determined to prepare for the next phase of the conflict. In the military command center, General Harper stood before a large screen displaying the battle's outcome. The faces of his officers were a mix of exhaustion and determination. "We faced the Empire head-on, and we did not back down," he declared, his voice steady. "But we need to regroup and strategize. This fight is far from over." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed the weight of his words. Dr. Emily Carter was busy analyzing data from the battle. She noticed patterns in the Empire's attacks and knew that understanding them would be crucial for their next move. "We need to focus on their weaknesses," she said, sharing her findings with the team. "If we can predict their movements, we can launch a more effective counterattack." As the officers discussed their strategy, the sound of footsteps echoed through the hall. Alex, the young man who had joined the local defense group, entered the command center. He felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. "I want to help," he said, looking at the general. "I know I'm just a civilian, but I believe I can make a difference." General Harper smiled, appreciating the young man's enthusiasm. "Every hand counts, Alex. We need people with heart and determination. You can help us by spreading the word to your community and organizing support. Every citizen can play a role in this fight." Alex nodded, feeling a sense of purpose. He was determined to rally his neighbors and friends to contribute to the cause. Meanwhile, in cities around the world, people began to mobilize. Communities came together to support the military and each other. In local parks and community centers, people collected supplies, food, and medical kits to send to the troops. Mothers and fathers told their children stories of bravery, inspiring the next generation to stand strong in the face of danger. As the days passed, the military gathered intelligence on the Empire's movements. With each report, they learned more about their enemy's strategies and equipment. The mood in the command center shifted from worry to determination. "We can turn the tide of this war," Dr. Carter said, her eyes shining with hope. "If we strike now while they are still regrouping, we may gain the upper hand." The decision was made. They would launch a second strike against the Empire's ships while they were vulnerable. Everyone knew the risk, but they also understood that this was their chance to weaken the enemy further. General Harper and his team began to coordinate their plans, preparing for a larger, more organized attack. In the weeks that followed, training sessions were held. Soldiers practiced maneuvers and pilots honed their skills in simulators. Citizens also joined in, learning basic defense tactics and emergency procedures. Alex organized meetings in his neighborhood, encouraging people to contribute in any way they could. "We're all in this together," he shouted at a gathering of families, his excitement infectious. "Every effort counts and every voice matters." As the day of the next strike approached, the atmosphere was charged with energy. People felt a sense of unity, and the idea of fighting for their homes gave them strength. Even children painted banners with messages of support, displaying them proudly on street corners. "Fight for Earth," read one, while another proclaimed, "We are not afraid." Finally, the day arrived. General Harper stood in the command center, addressing his team and the citizens who had gathered. "Today, we show the Empire that Earth will not be conquered," he said, his voice ringing with conviction. "We will fight for our freedom, for our families, and for our future. Together, we are stronger than they can ever imagine." As the military forces took their positions, the citizens cheered. There was no turning back now. Earth was united in its resolve, and they were ready to take the fight to the Galactic Empire once again. The memories of the first strike fueled their determination, and everyone understood that this was a battle for their very existence. With hearts full of courage, they braced for the conflict that lay ahead, ready to defend their planet at any cost. The day of the final showdown had arrived. Earth's military was ready, and the spirit of its people burned bright with determination. The command center buzzed with energy as General Harper and Dr. Emily Carter reviewed their final plans. They had worked tirelessly, analyzing the Galactic Empire's strategies and preparing for this moment. "Today, we end this fight," General Harper declared, looking at the faces of his officers and support staff. "We have already shown the Empire that we are not afraid. Now it's time to show them our true strength." The room erupted with cheers, a mix of soldiers, scientists, and citizens united in their resolve. Across the vastness of space, the Empire's ships loomed large. They had regrouped after the last battle, but their arrogance had not diminished. On board the lead ship, an Imperial commander smirked as he looked at the view of Earth below. "They think they can win?" he scoffed. "We will crush them and send a message to any other planets that dare to resist." As dawn broke, Earth's forces prepared for the attack. Fighter jets roared to life, engines humming with power as they lined up on the runway. Soldiers checked their gear, adrenaline coursing through their veins. Families across the planet gathered around screens, watching and hoping for a victory. Every heartbeat in unison, filled with the hope of freedom. Dr. Carter stood at the command station, monitoring the intelligence feed. "We have a window of opportunity," she said, her eyes focused on the screen. "Their shields are down after our last attack. We need to strike quickly and with everything we have." The tension in the room was palpable as everyone awaited the signal to launch. "Now!" General Harper shouted, and the room sprang into action. Jets took off, soaring into the sky, while missile silos opened and launched projectiles towards the Empire's fleet. The bright trails of missiles lit up the sky, leaving a mark of defiance as they headed straight for their targets. The Empire's ships were taken by surprise. Alarms blared and crew members scrambled to respond. The lead ship fired back, sending beams of energy toward the incoming missiles. But it was too late. Explosions erupted in the void of space as Earth's projectiles struck their targets. The cheers from Earth echoed in the command center, fueling the fighters in the sky. As Earth's jets engaged in combat with the Empire's fighters, the battlefield was filled with chaos. Missiles flew in both directions, and pilots maneuvered skillfully to avoid enemy fire. The stakes were high, but Earth's defenders fought with courage and purpose. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their homes, families, and future. In the midst of the chaos, Alex found himself in a cockpit, gripping the controls with determination. He was just a civilian, but he had trained hard and volunteered to join the fight. "I can do this," he told himself as he spotted an enemy fighter. With a deep breath, he pulled the trigger, sending a missile flying toward his target. The explosion lit up the sky, and he couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. He was part of something much bigger than himself. On the ground, civilians remained active, aiding the military in any way they could. Community members assisted in first aid, provided supplies, and cheered for the fighters above. "We believe in you," they shouted, their voices carrying hope through the air. The battle raged on, with both sides suffering losses. But Earth's determination and unity shone bright against the Empire's arrogance. General Harper coordinated the forces, directing them to target the enemy's command ship. "That's their heart," he said, pointing at the screen. "If we take that down, we can cripple their entire fleet." With renewed focus, the fighters rallied, directing their attacks toward the lead ship. Explosions rocked the Empire's command ship as Earth's forces worked together seamlessly. They were united, each soldier and pilot fighting not just for themselves but for everyone they loved back home. Finally, after a fierce battle, the Empire's lead ship was severely damaged. The command center erupted with cheers as the screen showed the enemy's defeat. The remaining Imperial forces, shaken and disheartened, began to retreat. General Harper smiled, knowing that they had turned the tide. As the dust settled, Earth celebrated its victory. Families hugged, friends cheered, and tears of joy flowed. They had stood up against a powerful empire and emerged victorious. Humanity had proven that it would never be pushed around. They were a united force, ready to face whatever challenges the future might hold. In the aftermath, Earth began to rebuild, stronger than before. The victory against the Galactic Empire was not just a battle won, it was a testament to the strength and courage of humanity. Together, they had shown that when united, they could stand against anything. The message was clear: Earth would never back down, and it would always defend its own.